So here's my full body warm up. First I'm starting out with just side to sides with my legs, trying to warm up my low back, trying to keep my shoulders square to the floor and knees together, and I'm just rotating as close to the floor as possible. And then for a deeper stretch, I'm just going one leg over another. Same kind of stretch, just gets a little deeper as you warm up a bit more. And then from here, I'm trying to warm up my shoulders. Main thing here is to try and keep your low back to the floor. And I'm doing internal to external rotations without my shoulder kind of rolling forward too much on the internal rotation. So I'm trying to get as close to the floor as possible. About 10 repetitions there. And then I'm going to try and keep my elbows and palms, or back of the palms to the floor as best I can here, and just reach up. You should get a nice chest and shoulder stretch here. Once again, low back is pushed to the floor for a better stretch. And then I'm going to just mobilize my low back, hugging my knees and trying to flex my low back, which will, cause a stretch there. From here, I'm going into cats and camels, which is probably my favorite stretch to warm up with. This is good for, again, low back mobility, and also to engage the core and fire the core before training. So we're trying to get the chest up and the head up with our hips up, and then you're doing it with your low back drop. You're going to pull as high as possible. This is going pretty quick. I'm going to try and keep up here. But now we're doing child's pose into downward dogs, I believe. So just trying to drop hips to the floor and trying to give a posterior pelvic tilt on the way back, trying to stretch out my lats and my low back here. Now here I'm doing shoulder protractions to retractions. This is good to get your scapula moving prior to training, because a lot of people's shoulder blades get tight, muscles around it get tight, your rotator cuffs get tight, so we want to try and stretch that. So I'm pulling to the top as high as possible, separating my shoulder blades, and then I'm trying to retract them at the bottom as low as possible. I'm sorry. And then from here, we're doing a lat stretch underneath the arm, and then we're coming up with a thoracic extension at the top. So we go about 3 aside here. And kind of like all these movements, 3 to 5 repetitions just at a slower pace is good. Everyone's a little different. You can do, whatever feels best for you. Here I'm just going 2 aside or 3 aside with this chest stretch. So this one I'm trying to put my shoulder into the floor and push my opposite body, side of the body upward here. And I'm going to stretch chest, shoulders, and triceps. You can see my leg was wrapping around the other leg just for a better stretch. Here we're going to kind of go into lower body. So I'm getting my hip flexor stretched out here along with my quads. Just about 3 to 5 stretches over the high knee. Keeping your glute tight. That's very key to stretching your hip flexor. And then here I'm also just trying to mobilize my hips a bit. Which you can see I'm very tight because I can't even get my knee forced out. But working on that. Other side. Once again, flex the glute to turn off the hip flexor you're trying to stretch. Here I just wanted to show you from the side profile. That's why I switched. This is definitely one of my favorite stretches. And then we go back into the hip stretch. And then from here, I'm going to get feet about shoulder width distance apart, maybe a little wider. A little more narrow than your squat stance, so I'm trying to force knees out. Once again, open up hips. Actually also stretch for ankle mobility as well. And I'm coming up and stretching my hamstrings, trying to get my legs as straight as possible, my butt nice and high with a rounded back. To stretch also, you're going to get low back stretch here as well. And that's about it, guys. So this is a good full body warm-up. Give it a shot and see how your body feels during your training sessions.